Welcome to part two of our racing edition, question and answer period. This one will be a lot shorter than our first one because our statistician, when they divided up our 675 questions, put 672 in the first batch and only 4 or 5 in the second batch. So we don't have as many questions in this one. Is there anything you have always wanted to drive but haven't had the chance? Zamboni. Always wanted to drive a Zamboni. Never had a chance to drive. So if there's anybody with a nice house out there that wants me to come drive your Zamboni, I'm your guy. No. You know what? There's not anything that I ever wanted to drive that I didn't. I grew up a stock car driver. All I wanted to do was drive a Superbird. And I got to drive one of those on Jay Leno's garage. So I got to drive my dad's. That's really the only car I ever really wanted to drive. And I know this sounds crazy, but I'm really not a car person. I'm more of a motorcycle person. I tell people that all the time, and they look at me like I have 3 heads. It's tough to be a car guy when the coolest car you've ever seen, you saw when you were 10 years old. It had a Hemi engine in it, had a wing on the back, it had that nose cone on the front, and your dad was running 200 miles an hour in it. I don't care what car was built after that. The coolest car in the world was that Superbird, and you had already been to the top of the mountain. So from there on, I was a motorcycle guy because I'd already seen the coolest car in the world. What's your favorite city to race in? Not for the track, but for the people. Oh, that's good. That is really good. You know what? I always loved San Francisco. Honestly, what a great place. We go to Sonoma and hang out in the city there, and that was fun. I enjoy that city. When I raced, I never went to the city. This has been when I was doing some TV stuff. But for me, Bristol was the place that you mingled with the people that were there, the local people. You got to see everybody, and then you got to go to the racetrack and race. So I would say Bristol. But since that time, doing TV stuff, San Francisco would have to be my favorite place. Yeah. Do you feel you were expected to become a race car driver? No. And you know what? I don't. I get that question a lot too, and I don't. I think you have to go. If you're not from the South and you're not from the rural South, you may not understand this. But I grew up in a community, not a city, not a town, in a community. And in that community, most everybody was a dairy farmer, a tobacco farmer, a farmer. And that's just the way it was. And there were lots of 3rd and 4th generation farms in the community I grew up in. And the guys I went to school with, they worked on the farm. And then they graduated high school and would go off to college, but they'd come back to the farm at some point in time in some way, shape, or form. So everybody just kind of did what your family did. And my family just happened to raise race cars, not cows, not pigs, not tobacco. We raised race cars. So I never thought about not driving a race car, but there was no pressure to drive a race car. That's just what I did. That's just what our community did. You just did what your parents did. So, and listen, that's all I ever want to do. So if there'd been pressure, it'd been pressure to go the other way if it had been from them. Would you ever own another race team? Probably not. I would think not. No, not at this point in time, especially. I will never say never in this life to anything because things have happened that I never dreamed would have happened on both sides, from tragedy and from triumph. I mean, I've experienced huge highs and huge lows that I never dreamed would happen. So I can't say that I'll never say never, but as long as I do TV and as long as I do media and stuff, I don't think that if you are in the media, I've said this before, that you should own a race team or have something to do with a race team or have those ties because it's a biased opinion, and I think you should be able to say what you want to say if you're in the media. Would you let Overton race if he wants to later in life? And the answer to that is yes. And I know y'all might find that hard to believe, but the answer is yes, because I don't think you should stop your kids from doing anything if it's a dream, if it's a passion, if they love it, if they truly want to do it for all the right reasons. And that's that burning desire. Then I don't care. I don't care if they're swallowing swords and chasing the circus all over the United States. If that's what they love, that's cool. Everybody beats to a different drum. Everybody has a different passion. Everybody has a different dream. And I think that you should allow your kids to experience that, and be supportive in as many ways as you can. So I don't think I would ever tell anyone, especially Overton, not what he should or shouldn't do. I would just try to help him. What was it like racing against your dad? You know what? It was fun. It was fun. I probably said it. Maybe I said it in this one. Maybe I said it before. Like I grew up shooting basketball with him. I grew up playing baseball with him. I grew up riding motorcycles with him, and eventually I had an opportunity to actually race with him. So I tell people this a lot of times. He was my dad, and then he was my boss, and then he was my teammate, and then I left Petty Enterprises and he was my competitor, and then I came back and he was my business partner, and I drove for him at the same time, and then eventually he became my dad again. So I've experienced a lot of the facets of Richard Petty and who Richard Petty is, but I think racing with him and being at that level and being able to compete at that level with him was always special and will always be special. And I don't care. You talk to guys who had an opportunity to race with a brother or a cousin or their parents or their dad, then that's always a special moment. So, again, thank you guys. These are great questions. Thank you for tuning in to part 2 of the Q&A, and we'll do it again.